Where are your files? Why storage location still matters. As we continue in Chapter 4, we move from what must be kept to where it is kept. In today's digital environment, many brokers assume that as long as records exist somewhere, especially in the cloud, they are compliant. However, Arizona law places clear expectations on accessibility, control, and location of records. The Broker Audit Declaration, BAD, requires brokers to disclose where records are stored and how they are maintained. ADRI is not simply verifying that records exist. They are verifying that the broker can access and produce them quickly and reliably. Under ARS, paragraph 32.2151.01 and AAC R428-1103, the broker is responsible for ensuring that records are secure, accessible, and properly maintained, regardless of whether they are stored on-site or off-site. This section builds directly on Section 4.1. Retaining records is only half the requirement. Being able to retrieve them is the other half. Notification requirements to ADRI. Transparency and storage practices. When a brokerage stores records off-site, ADRI must be aware of where those records are located. This is not about limiting flexibility. It is about ensuring accountability. Brokers are expected to disclose the location of record storage, whether records are stored electronically or physically, how records can be accessed upon request. This information is typically captured through licensing records and the Broker Audit Declaration. For example, a brokerage in Gilbert storing records at a separate administrative office or through a third-party provider must be prepared to disclose that location. If ADRI conducts an audit, the broker must be able to direct them to the records without delay. Failure to properly disclose storage locations can create issues during an audit, as it raises concerns about accessibility and control. This reinforces a key concept. ADRI does not just regulate transactions, it regulates the broker's ability to produce records on demand. Arizona location requirement, keeping records within reach. Arizona has specific expectations regarding the location of records. While electronic storage provides flexibility, brokers must ensure that records are accessible within Arizona and can be produced promptly. The practical interpretation of this requirement is that records must be retrievable within a reasonable time frame. The broker must maintain control over access. Records should not be stored in a way that creates barriers to retrieval. For example, a brokerage using a cloud-based system with servers located outside of Arizona is not necessarily non-compliant. However, if the broker cannot quickly access and produce those records during an audit, it becomes a problem. A real-world example, a brokerage in Phoenix stores all files in a third-party system but loses administrative access due to a subscription lapse. When ADRI requests records, the broker cannot retrieve them. Even though the records technically exist, the lack of access creates a compliance violation. This ties back to ARS, paragraph 32.2151.01. Accessibility is just as important as retention. Cloud versus physical storage, understanding the risks. Modern brokerages typically use a combination of cloud-based and physical storage systems. Each has its advantages and risks. Cloud storage systems offer convenience and remote access, automated backups, integration with transaction management platforms. However, they also introduce risks such as loss of access due to subscription issues, data breaches, or security concerns, dependence on third-party providers. Physical storage systems offer direct control over records, no reliance on third-party platforms, but they also present challenges such as limited accessibility, risk of physical damage, fire, flood, etc. Difficulty in organizing large volumes of files. For example, a Mesa brokerage using only physical file cabinets may struggle to produce records quickly during an audit. Conversely, a Scottsdale brokerage relying entirely on a cloud system without backup access may face issues if the platform becomes unavailable. The key is balance and control. Brokers must ensure that regardless of the system used, records remain secure, accessible, and under their control. Best practices for compliance. Building a reliable storage system. To meet ADRI expectations and reduce audit risk, brokers should implement best practices for record storage. Maintain redundant backup systems. Cloud plus local storage. Ensure continuous access to all records. Regularly test retrieval processes. Organize files consistently and logically. Keep records secure from unauthorized access. For example, a Chandler brokerage may use a cloud-based transaction system like SkySlope, while also maintaining periodic backups of all files on a secure internal server. This ensures that even if one system fails, records remain accessible. Additionally, brokers should periodically audit their own systems to confirm that records can be retrieved quickly and completely. Waiting until an ADRI audit to test your system is a costly mistake. This ties directly back to AAC R4281103, which requires brokers to maintain systems that ensure compliance, not just assume it. Bringing it all together. Off-site storage is not about convenience, it is about control. Whether records are stored in the cloud, at another location, or in physical files, the broker remains fully responsible for their accessibility and security. Chapter 4 continues to reinforce a central theme. Compliance is proven through documentation and accessibility. A brokerage that can produce complete records quickly and efficiently is a brokerage that is prepared for an audit. As we move into the next section, we will explore transaction file organization and required documentation standards, ensuring that once records are stored, they are also structured correctly. Online discussion. Why does ADRI require brokers to disclose where records are stored? Answer. To ensure that records are accessible and under the broker's control. This allows ADRI to verify that the broker can produce documents during an audit. What is the biggest risk of relying solely on cloud storage? Answer. Loss of access due to subscription issues, technical failures, or security concerns, which can prevent the broker from retrieving records when needed. How can brokers reduce risk when using off-site storage? Answer. By maintaining backup systems, ensuring continuous access, organizing records properly, and regularly testing retrieval processes.